Hi, I'm Miss Nance, and I'm the SLP that's going to be talking to you guys today. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for coming to this meeting and letting us talk to you about getting a plan in place to help Latreece succeed in the classroom. We just want to see her thrive academically, and we really appreciate y'all being here to give us your input and see what we've put together to help her succeed. So for my part, I tested Latreece, and I'm going to break down all the tests and her scores, the results, all of that into 5 different categories just to kind of break it up into chunks. So the first category that I tested was articulation and phonology, and based on all the information I gathered, I did not think she was going to have an articulation and phonology problem, and I didn't think we even needed a test for that. So there were no tests for that. And then the next category is phonological awareness / reading. And I gave her the Self-4 phonological awareness subtest. And the purpose of that is to gather information about a student's phonological skills. And Latreece received a raw score of 47 out of 85 possible points. And she did not meet criterion score of greater than or equal to 58 for her chronological age, and her score suggests a severe impairment. She did demonstrate strength in syllable blending, initial phoneme identification, syllable deletion, and syllable segmentation. She detected rhyme in 3 out of 5 items and produced rhyme in 2 out of 5 items. She had difficulty with phoneme blending and phoneme substitution. And then I gave her the Dolch word list, 2nd grade, which that's just a list to examine a child's reading ability. These are high frequency words, so words that occur a lot in the 2nd grade. And she was unable to read any of the 2nd grade words presented, which can really hinder her ability to read to succeed in the classroom. And then the next category is expressive language. So I gave her the expressive one-word picture vocabulary test, and that provides information that reflects the extent of an individual's vocabulary that can be accessed and retrieved from memory. And the average range of scores is 85 to 115, and Latreece had a score of 64. And she has significantly impaired expressive vocabulary skills. And then Self-5 formulated sentences test. This is just evaluating a student's ability to formulate sentences with different that are grammatically correct and have different lengths and complexities. And the average scores are 8 to 12, and Latreece received a score of 4. And some examples of her sentences include like using the word first, him is first in line. And then the next subtest is the recalling sentences subtest. So this is evaluating a student's ability to listen to spoken sentences of different length and complexities and repeat the sentence without changing word meaning or sentence structure to really see a student's short-term memory. And Latreece scored, the average score is 8 to 12, and Latreece scored a 4, and she's in the low to very low range for this subtest. She showed a great effort for this task, but she became very frustrated when she wasn't successful, and she would often leave out words or substitute different words. And then the word structure subtest was administered to her. The purpose of this is to evaluate a student's ability to apply word structure rules to mark inflections, derivations, and comparisons. And the average range of scores is 8 to 12, and she received a score of 3. She had difficulty with grammatical functions, specifically irregular plurals, comparatives and superlatives, reflexive nouns, and derivational adjectives. And then receptive language, the Self-5 word classes subtest. The purpose of this is to evaluate a student's ability to understand relationships between words based on meaning, function, place, or time. And the average scores are 8 to 12, and Latreece received a scaled score of 7. And however, during the test, she admitted that she was guessing, so we don't know what she really would have gotten. if she wasn't guessing. And then the Peabody Picture Vocabulary Test. The purpose of this is to measure receptive vocabulary. The average scores are 85 to 115, and Latreece received a standard score of 66. That suggests a severe impairment. And so she has significantly impaired receptive vocabulary skills, and she became discouraged when she did not know a word, and she needed praise and encouragement for every word presented. And then the self-5 following directions subtest. So the average scores were 8 to 12, and Latreece received a scaled score of 3. And Latreece demonstrated difficulty with 2-level commands and directions with more than one modifier. Then the linguistics concept subtest. The purpose of this is to evaluate a student's ability to interpret spoken directions using the student's abilities to include and exclude information. The average scores are 8 to 12, and Latreece received a scaled score of 3. Latreece demonstrated difficulty with directions involving temporal, until and at the same time, and sequential concepts, so middle, after, beginning, before. And then the self-sentence comprehension subtest was administered. The purpose of this is to evaluate a student's ability to understand spoken sentences of increasing length and complexity. And the average range is 8 to 12, and Latreece received a scaled score of 7. Latreece scored at the borderline or at risk, but her ability to understand grammatical structure of a sentence is an area of relative strength. So the last section is the writing and spelling. And I gave her the spelling performance evaluation for language and literacy, the Spell 2. And the purpose of this is just to measure a student's spelling ability. And according to the results, Latreece struggled with every word that was tested. In summary, Latreece scored below average in every single test she was given. And Latreece's audiologist, as you can see from the background history, diagnosed her with central auditory processing disorder. And I'm also diagnosing her with mixed expressive receptive language disorder, written language disorder, and a specific reading disorder. So that includes phonological awareness, reading comprehension, and reading fluency. According to testing at this time, Latreece is not diagnosed with an articulation or phonology disorder at this time. Latreece has a lot of strengths. Her strengths are her motivation to succeed and learn. She has really good relationships with her peers in class, and she just really wants to try her best. She struggles in receptive and expressive language, reading, and written language. But I believe with additional support and accommodations, she should make progress in improving a lot of these skills. So, my recommendations for her. So, Latreece qualifies for school-based services. Treatment should focus on improving expressive and receptive skills and literacy skills in the classroom setting. Latreece should receive speech therapy with me 3 times a week for 20 minutes. She should also continue to receive Title I services to improve her reading skills. I think that's really good that she's going ahead and doing that. She needs a lot of emphasis, especially with where she is in school. It's really important that we tackle her literacy skills and really get her back onto target with that. She should also follow up with her audiologist to discuss the central auditory processing disorder and how to go about that and treatment for that. And per her audiologist suggested that Latreece should have access to assistive listening technology in the classroom just to make sure she has every single opportunity to succeed. And she should also receive pre-teaching of information, and she should be given new information in small, well-defined units. So just break up the information so it's easier for her to comprehend. And Latreece should also receive extended testing time. So my goals for her, I made all these goals for the classroom because obviously we're all here because we want her to succeed. In the school setting, we want her to thrive academically. But I have broken down 4 long-term goals, and each long-term goal has a short-term goal attached. So first long-term goal is Latreece will improve overall expressive language skills in the classroom. And the short-term goal that goes on along with that is in 3 months, I want Latreece to use 4 to 5 word utterances to ask a question in the classroom with 80% accuracy in 3 out of 4 attempts. And then the next long-term goal, Latreece will improve overall receptive language skills in the classroom. The short-term goal that goes along with that is in 3 months, Latreece will follow 2-step classroom instructions provided by her teacher with verbal cues with 80% accuracy in 3 out of 4 attempts. Then the next long-term goal, Latreece will improve overall reading comprehension in the classroom. And in short-term goal, in 3 months, Latreece will read 10 pre-selected sight words with minimal assistance from her teacher with 70% accuracy. And then long-term goal, Latreece will improve overall written language skills in the classroom. Short-term goal, in 3 months, Latreece will write 5 sentences once a week incorporating past and present spelling words with minimal assistance from her teacher with 70% spelling accuracy. So with each of these goals, I really tried to incorporate the long-term goal are all parts of her diagnosis, the expressive language, the receptive language, the reading comprehension, and the written language skills. And each of the short-term goals, like the asking a question, following directions, the sight words, those are all things that she has struggled with specifically that I noticed. And so we really want to tackle those because I feel like if we can tackle these short-term objectives, obviously that will get us to our long-term. But I just feel like all of these short-term are really important that we get those figured out early on because those are all important skills that she needs right now. But thank you so much for being here once again. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I'm super excited to be working with Latreece. Thank you so much for coming. It was lovely to meet you all. Have a great day.